हेलो फ्रेंड्स, गुड मॉर्निंग। वेलकम टू एक्मे कॉमर्स एकेडमी। आज के सेशन में हम कवर करने वाले हैं सोर्सेज ऑफ बोरोड कैपिटल। बोरोड कैपिटल में आज हम कवर करेंगे डिबेंचर्स। नाउ सबसे पहले समझते हैं व्हाट डू मीन बाय बोरोड कैपिटल। बोरोड कैपिटल और लोन कैपिटल और क्रेडिटरशिप सिक्योरिटीज मीन्स जब हम किसी से पैसा उधार लेते हैं, लोन लेते हैं, इसको बोलते हैं बोरोड कैपिटल। जैसे आपको पता होगा कि capital is divided into two types: owned capital and borrowed capital. Now owned capital consists of equity shares, preference shares and retained earning. ये तीनों टॉपिक हम आगे के वीडियोस में कवर कर चुके हैं। Whereas borrowed capital consists of debentures, bonds, fixed deposit, loan from bank and financial institution. तो आज हम कवर कर रहे हैं borrowed capital. Now see, every company to run the business efficiently, they need adequate amount of capital. Now company have option of issuing equity shares, company can issue preference shares, company can use retained profit, or company can go for borrowed capital. Now on borrowed capital, what the investors do, investors क्या करते हैं, investors they provide capital to the company and in return what they get interest. क्या मिलता है उनको? इंटरेस्ट मिलता है at a fixed rate. A private company as well as public company can make use of borrowed capital. अब इसमें इसके पीछे मेन रीजन क्या है? See, if you see practically, even the big companies, big corporate houses like Reliance or any other company like Infosys, Wipro, Adani, they all make use of borrowed capital. Even though they have sufficient capital, उनके पास sufficient capital available है. Why? Because when we are raising finance, हमारा जो मेन कंसर्न होता है वो होता है कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल. Now in case of own funds, cost of capital is always high, but in case of debt capital, the cost of capital is comparatively less. So companies are likely to benefit by using of borrowed capital. And secondly, the interest which is paid, interest जो हम पे करते हैं borrowed capital के ऊपर, it is tax deductible expenditure for the company. So company will get tax benefits. So therefore, in initial stages, we always make use of equity capital. But as the company advances, company has started making profits, company may make use of borrowed capital to have or to exercise strict control over the ownership of the. तो आइए आज इसमें हम देखते हैं, स्टार्ट करते हैं विद डिबेंचर्स. सी डिबेंचर्स आर वन ऑफ द प्रिंसिपल सोर्सेज to meet our long-term and short-term requirement. It has occupied a very important position in the capital structure of the company. Capital structure में debenture occupies very important position. Now the term debenture is derived from the Latin word debere, which means to owe, which means to pay, जो हमें पे करना है. Now as such, debenture की कोई specific definition नहीं दी है in the Companies Act, but Companies Act 2013 में section 2 subsection 30 में it is mentioned that the word debenture includes debenture stock, bonds and any other instrument of company evidencing a debt, whether constituting a charge on the assets of the company or not. Which means debenture में क्या क्या included? Debenture stock, bonds, which is evidencing a debt, means which is an evidence that company has taken loan from the investor. Now let's go further and look at the definition. As per the Palmer defines a debenture as an instrument under seal, under company seal, evidencing a debt. The essence of being admission of indebtedness means it is an evidence that company has taken loan from the debenture holders. Or TOFAM defines a debenture is a document given by a company as evidence of debt. कंपनी क्या इश्यू करती है? डिबेंचर सर्टिफिकेट. इट इज एन एविडेंस ऑफ डेब्ट that we have taken loan from the debenture holders. Now let's come to the feature. I hope abhi tak what is debenture, what is borrowed capital, then what is debenture, उसकी डेफिनेशन आपको समझ में आई होगी. Now let us go ahead and go for the features. It's a promise. First feature है debenture is a promise by company that it owes specified amount of money to holder of the debenture. So company क्या promise करती है that we have taken money from the debenture holders and at a future date or on due date company gives promise to repay the same. So it's a promise by the company. Second, face value. Normally debenture क्या होता है, वो high denomination के होते हैं. See, if you see equity shares are issued at rupees 10 or rupees 5 or rupees sometimes rupees 2 or even rupees 1, ये उनकी face value होती है. But in case of debenture, debenture is of high denomination. It is always a minimum face value of the debenture is rupees 100, or it may be in multiply of rupees 100. Sometimes debentures can be issued even for 500 rupees or 1000 rupees only. So face value. Third है time of repayment. On every debenture certificate, जितने भी debenture certificate company issue करेगी, उसके ऊपर उसकी due date mention होगी. So time of repayment is mentioned. Now normally debenture क्या है? Debenture is either medium term और आपकी long term requirement fulfill करता है. Medium term like say 3 years or maybe 5 years, 10 years or sometimes even 20 years. So at the end of the specific period, company will have to repay the money. So due date is always mentioned on the face of the debenture certificate. Next point is priority of repayment. See, debentures have priority in repayment of debenture capital over other claimants, which means debentures are paid first. Even at the time of liquidation of the company will have to pay the debts. Then only company can repay the capital of preference shareholders and equity shareholders. So at the time of liquidation of company, now since debenture is secured debenture, debentures are secured by either fixed charge or floating charge. So fixed charge means against specific asset of the company and floating charge means against all the assets of the company. So first of all, company will pay to secured creditor. Now debenture being secured secured instrument enjoys preferential right or they enjoy priority in the repayment of capital. After payment of secured debenture, after payment of secured creditors, then unsecured creditors will be paid, then preference shareholders and then equities. So they enjoy priority in assurance of repayment. Now debenture constitutes a long-term debt. ये क्या है कंपनी के लिए लॉन्ग टर्म डेप्ट है. सो इट कैरीज एन एश्योरेंस फॉर द रीपेमेंट ऑफ लोन ऑन ड्यू डेट. कंपनी गिव्स एश्योरेंस, कंपनी आपको गारंटी देती है कि ऑन ड्यू डेट कंपनी विल रीपे द अमाउंट. डिवेंचर जितना कैपिटल है कंपनी विल रीपे अलॉन्ग विथ आउटस्टैंडिंग इंटरेस्ट. अगर कुछ इंटरेस्ट आउटस्टैंडिंग है तो आपका आउटस्टैंडिंग इंटरेस्ट के साथ आपको आपकी प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट मिल जाए. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट हमारा है सी डिवेंचर होल्डर्स they invest in the company, they are providing loan to the company. So what company gives in return? कंपनी उनको क्या पे करती है? उनको क्या मिलता है? इंटरेस्ट मिलता है. इंटरेस्ट एट अ फिक्स रेट which is agreed upon and also mentioned in the articles of association of at what rate debenture holders will be paid, what type of debentures will be issued and what will be the coupon rate, that is interest rate. It is everything is decided in advance. Now payment of interest is a fixed liability for the company. कंपनी के लिए क्या है? पेमेंट, इंटरेस्ट का पेमेंट फिक्स लायबिलिटी है. प्रॉफिट हो या नहीं हो, डिबेंचर होल्डर को इंटरेस्ट पे करना ही है. सो इट्स अ फिक्स लायबिलिटी फॉर द कंपनी. नाउ हियर कंपनी विल गेट वन बेनिफिट. जब कंपनी आपको इंटरेस्ट पे करती है, इट इज अ टैक्स डिडक्टेबल एक्सपेंडिचर फॉर द कंपनी. क्या है? टैक्स डिडक्टेबल एक्सपेंडिचर. सो कंपनी कैन क्लेम एग्जेम्पशन अगेंस्ट पेमेंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. तो ये कंपनी को बेनिफिट होता है. Now, what are the parties to the debentures? Now, see, there are three parties to the debentures. First, a issuer company. Second, a trustees. Now, trustee is a link between the company and the debenture holders. In case company is not in a position to repay the debenture capital on ड्यू डेट पे कंपनी के पास सफिशिएंट अमाउंट नहीं है रीपे करने के लिए, इन दैट केस द ट्रस्टीज विल लिक्विडेट द सिक्योरिटीज. क्या करेंगे? सिक्योरिटी जो कंपनी ने प्रोवाइड की एज एश्योरेंस फॉर रीपेमेंट, दे विल लिक्विडेट दोज एसेट्स, उसको सेल कर देंगे एंड अमाउंट ऑफ डिबेंचर होल्डर्स विल बी along with the interest. So they are the link between the debenture holders and the company. And third party are debenture holders themselves. So these are the three parties: company, trustees and next is authority. किसको authority है debenture issue करने? So according to Companies Act 2013, the board of directors has power to issue debentures. Only board of directors can issue the debentures. No other person can. Next is status of debenture holder. Debenture holder का status क्या है? See, equity shareholders are the owners of the company. Debenture holders are the creditors of the company. They get interest in return of investment which they have made in the company. उनको क्या मिलता है? Interest मिलता है at a fixed rate. Debenture holders are the creditors of the company. They are not the owners of the company. Therefore, debenture holders cannot interfere in the management of the company. They cannot participate in the management of the company. Therefore, debenture holders do not have any controlling power. उनके पास कोई controlling power नहीं है. They are simply creditors. They are concerned with the interest and safety of their capital. उनका concern क्या है कि हमें regular interest मिलना चाहिए at a predetermined rate और हमारा capital safe होना चाहिए. बस उनको उतना ही concern है. Otherwise, they are not concerned in the management of the company. They will not interfere. They do not carry any voting power. उनके पास कोई voting power नहीं होती. So debenture holders are the creditors of the company. उसके बाद में no voting rights जो हमने अभी कवर किया. So according to section 71 subsection 2 of Companies Act 2013, company shall issue any debentures carrying any voting rights. So no company can issue debentures with voting rights. Debentures have no right to participate in the general meeting. Debenture holders participate नहीं कर सकते. Security. अब इसके पहले मैंने बताया था कि debentures are issued against some security of the company. Now these can be either fixed charge or fluctuating charge. That is floating charge we can. Fixed charge means charge against specific asset of the company. Like for example, debentures are issued against security of plant and machinery. So at the time of liquidation, or in case company is not able to pay on due date, repay the capital on due date, in that case, debenture trustee have right to sell plant and machinery and return the amount which is belonging to debenture holders. That is called as fixed security. Other is floating charge. Floating charge में क्या होता है कि security is given against all the asset of the company, against all the assets. So जैसे जैसे asset बिकते जाएंगे वैसे वैसे debenture holders का payment होते जाएगा. Now this is in case of company is going for liquidation, company liquidate हो रही है, dissolve हो रही है, या तो फिर company is not in a position to repay the debenture capital on due date. In that case, this will be the consequences. Next is issuer. So who can issue debentures? Debentures can be issued by public as well as private companies. Public companies भी issue कर सकती है और private companies भी इसको issue कर सकती है. Next point is listing. Debentures must be listed with at least one recognized stock exchange. Now what is listing? Listing क्या होता है? Listing means registration of company shares on stock exchange. Listing means we have to take permission from the stock exchange. जब तक हमें स्टॉक एक्सचेंज परमिशन नहीं देगा कोई भी सिक्योरिटी का ट्रेडिंग नहीं हो सकता है. सो फॉर दैट पर्पस दे विल टू लिस्ट द कंपनी. तो with a recognized stock exchange like National Stock Exchange or Bombay Stock Exchange, Mumbai Stock Exchange. उनके पास उनको क्या करना पड़ेगा, लिस्टिंग. सो डिबेंचर मस्ट बी लिस्टेड विथ एटलीस्ट वन रिकॉग्नाइज्ड स्टॉक एक्सचेंज. कोई भी एक रिकॉग्नाइज्ड स्टॉक एक्सचेंज मीन्स स्टॉक एक्सचेंज which is registered with SEBI. Next is transferability. Debentures are easily transferable like your equity shares. Equity shares को हम ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं to any person. Same way debentures can be transferred by following उसकी एक प्रोसेस है, उसको फॉलो करके we can transfer the debenture. So I hope डिबेंचर का कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हुआ होगा, सारे फीचर्स समझ में आए होंगे. पहला हमारा जो फीचर था वो था प्रॉमिस. पहला था प्रॉमिस, देन सेकंड था फेस वैल्यू. फर्स्ट है प्रॉमिस. So basically debenture is a promise given by the company to the debenture holders that company will repay their amount on due date. Then second है face value. Face value is normally high denomination. It is either rupees 100 or in multiple of rupees 100. Then third point हमने किया था time of repayment. Time of repayment is mentioned on the debenture certificate. उसके बाद में priority of repayment. Debenture holder has a priority over other creditors of the company regarding repayment of their capital. उसके बाद में assurance of repayment. So it basically it constitutes assurance. Company gives assurance that the amount which is provided by debenture holders will be repaid on a specific date. Then what debenture holders will get? They get interest. Interest is given at a fixed rate. Even if company doesn't have profit, company will have to pay the interest. उसके बाद में हमने देखा पार्टीज टू डिबेंचर. तो वहां पे 3 पार्टीज है. वन इज कंपनी, इश्योर कंपनी. सेकंड इज ट्रस्टी. ट्रस्टी बेसिकली वर्क्स एज अ लिंक बिटवीन द डिबेंचर होल्डर्स एंड द कंपनी एंड डिबेंचर होल्डर्स देमसेल्व्स. उसके बाद में अथॉरिटी, किसके पास अथॉरिटी है इश्यू करने की? तो बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स हैव द अथॉरिटी टू इश्यू. Status of debenture holders, they are creditors of the company, therefore they cannot interfere in the management company or they cannot participate in the management of the company. उसके बाद में था हमारा no voting rights. Debenture holders, since they are creditors of the company, they do not carry any voting rights. उसके बाद में हमने security. Debentures are issued against some security either by fixed charge or floating charge. उसके बाद में हमने देखा who are the issuers? Public as well as private companies can issue debentures. Listing is mandatory. Listing must be made with at least one recognized stock exchange. And then next point हमने लिया transferability. Debentures are transferable from one person to another person by following a particular process. So I hope debentures का पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हुआ होगा. अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आया तो इसे लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कीजिए.